Ever get shit-faced and think you can crack ECMC or? Let's be real, most of us can barely remember our own names after a few too many. But today we're diving into the mind of the guy who actually did that shit sober, Albert freaking Einstein. Or at least what's left of his brain after some asshat decided to play Dr. Frankenstein with it.
It's a wild story, that's for sure. Right after Einstein died in 1955, the pathologist, a dude named Thomas Harvey, decided he just had to get his hands on that genius brain.
Hold up, so this guy just yoinked Einstein's brain without asking. Talk about a serious breach of funeral etiquette.
Well, the details are murky. Some say Einstein might have mumbled something about wanting his brain studied after he kicked the bucket, but nothing official, no signed consent, forms no brain donation hotline on his speed dial. It's a whole ethical clusterfuck.
So this Harvey character was basically a brain pirate, plundering the skulls of geniuses for science.
Pretty much. But here's the kicker. He kept that brain for decades, lugging it around in a damn cider box. You can't make this shit up.
A cider box. Seriously. That's how we're treating the brain that birthed the theory of relativity. Talk about disrespecting a legend. So what did this brain bandit actually do with Einstein's gray matter? Did he find anything that screamed genius?
Harvey sent bits and pieces of the brain to researchers all over the place, hoping they'd uncover the secrets of Einstein's brilliance. And over the years, there have been a bunch of studies, some with more credible methods than others.
Let's cut the crap. What did they find? Was Einstein packing some extra hardware up there?
One of the first things researchers noticed was that Einstein was missing part of a brain structure called the parietal operculum. Now, this bit is usually involved in language processing and spatial awareness. Basically, how we make sense of the world around us.
Wait, so the dude was missing a chunk of his brain? Like it just wasn't there? Did this missing piece give him superpowers or something?
That's the million-dollar question. Some speculated that the absence of this structure might have allowed other parts of his brain to form stronger connections, leading to his unique way of thinking. But it's just a theory, no concrete proof.
So it's like saying he was a genius because he was missing a part of his brain that makes you normal.
Yeah.
That's some fucked up logic right there. What else did they find? Anything a little less hole-in-the-heady?
Another finding was that Einstein had an unusually high number of glial cells. Now, these cells act like the support staff for neurons, the brain cells that transmit information. Think of them as the janitors and maintenance crew making sure everything runs smoothly.
So Einstein had a super efficient brain cleaning crew? Is that the secret to genius level thinking? Maybe I should invest in some brain boosting cleaning products.
Hold your horses. While it's tempting to say those extra glial cells made Einstein a genius, it could also be the other way around. Maybe his intense mental activity led to the development of more glial cells. It's a chicken or the egg situation.
Okay, so we've got a missing brain chunk and an overachieving cleaning crew. Anything else that made Einstein's brain stand out from the crowd?
They also found that Einstein had a beefier corpus callosum than your average Joe. This is the thick band of nerve fibers that connects the two hemispheres of the brain, letting them talk to each other.
So the guy had a superhighway running between his brain hemispheres. No wonder he could wrap his head around space-time continuums and all that jazz. Did this superhighway make him smarter, or was it just, a fancy road leading to the same destination?
It's possible that a thicker corpus callosum allowed for faster and more efficient communication between different parts of his brain, potentially contributing to his ability to think both creatively and analytically. But again, it's just a correlation, not necessarily the cause of his genius.
All right, so far we've got a missing piece, a pumped-up cleaning crew, and a superhighway. All very interesting, but are we any closer to figuring out what actually made Einstein so goddamn smart? Or are we just grasping at straws here?
That's the thing about the brain, isn't it? It's a goddamn enigma. Even with all our fancy scanners and microscopes, we can see the nuts and bolts, the different parts. But we're only scratching the surface of how it all works together to create consciousness, thought, and, well, genius-level thinking.
So you're saying we've got a bunch of brainiacs poking around in Einstein's brain.
Yeah.
And they're still clueless about what made him tick. It's like taking apart a Ferrari and expecting to find the speed gene in the engine block.
Exactly. It's not just about the hardware. It's about the software, the intricate connections, the firing patterns of neurons. It's like trying to understand a symphony by looking at the individual instruments.
Okay. I'm starting to get a headache just thinking about all those neurons firing away. But let's cut to the chase. Are you saying we're all born with a certain level of brain power? Or can we actually upgrade our mental hardware? Can I go from being a mental minivan to a goddamn rocket ship?
Well, here's where it gets interesting. Recent research has been focusing on the idea of neuroplasticity. The the brain's ability to change and adapt throughout our lives. Turns out our brains aren't static lumps of gray matter. They're constantly rewiring themselves based on our experiences, thoughts, and even emotions.
Hold the phone. Are you telling me I can rewire my brain to be more Einstein-y? Where do I sign up for this brain hacking program? Could I download a Genius app or something?
Not quite that simple, but there's growing evidence that engaging in certain activities can actually change the structure and function of our brains. Things like learning a new language, picking up a musical instrument, even meditating it, and all help shape our neural pathways.
So maybe Einstein wasn't born a goddamn genius.
Yeah.
Maybe he just worked his ass off pushing his brain to its limits. Like that saying, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration.
Yeah, whoa.
Only in this case, it's brain sweat, not the smelly kind.
Exactly. And that's something we can all take away from this, regardless of our IQ score. We're not stuck with the brains we were born with. We have the power to shape and mold our own mental landscapes.
Okay, that's actually pretty inspiring. But let's be real, most of us aren't going to be the next Einstein. We're not all destined to revolutionize physics or crack the code of the universe.
True, but that doesn't mean we can't strive for excellence in our own domains. The beauty of neuroplasticity is that it empowers us to take an active role in shaping our own brains, to become more skilled, more creative, more adaptable in a world that's constantly changing.
So you're saying, instead of binge-watching trashy reality TV, we should be hitting the books and learning new shit. Damn, you're starting to sound like my high school guidance counselor.
I wouldn't phrase it quite like that.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah.
But seriously, I see your point. Maybe the real legacy of Einstein's brain isn't about finding the genius gene, but about understanding the incredible potential that's locked inside each of our messy, imperfect, constantly evolving brains.
Well said. And who knows, maybe by pushing our own intellectual boundaries, by embracing curiosity and a thirst for knowledge, we might just stumble upon the next groundbreaking discovery, or at least, impress our friends at trivia night.
Speaking of trivia night, did you know that Einstein's brain was actually stolen? Yeah, you heard that right. Stolen.
Yes. Back to the ethical quagmire we touched upon earlier. The story of Einstein's brain isn't just about scientific curiosity. It's also a cautionary tale about the potential for overstepping boundaries in the pursuit of knowledge.
Okay, spill the tea. Give us the juicy details on this brain-snatching scandal. So last time we left off with this bombshell, Einstein's brain was basically kidnapped by some rogue pathologist. Did this Harvey guy ever get permission to go all grave robber on the most famous physicist of all time?
The truth is somewhere in the gray area between sort of and hell no. There's talk that Einstein might have casually mentioned wanting his brain studied, but nothing in writing. No official consent, no legal documents, no, yo, if I croak, feel free to crack open my skull type of agreement.
Wait, so this dude just went rogue, operating on pure hey science vibes. Talk about a loose cannon. What did Einstein's family say about this whole brain-snatching business?
Well, they were understandably pissed off when they found out, especially since it happened after Einstein was already 6 feet under. Imagine getting that phone call. Hey, just letting you know we've got your dad's brain in a jar.
That's some seriously messed up shit right there. I'd be raising hell. Did they sue this Harvey guy for, like, emotional distress or something?
Einstein's son, Hans Albert, eventually gave his blessing, but only after the fact. And he had one condition. Any research findings had to be published in legit scientific journals, no selling brain slices on eBay or some bullshit like that.
So basically, you're already screwed up royally, but at least try to make some good come out of it.
Yeah.
I guess that's better than nothing, but still, what a clusterfuck.
It definitely highlights a fundamental tension between scientific curiosity and ethical boundaries. On one hand, you've got this burning desire to understand how a mind like Einstein's worked to unlock the secrets of genius. But on the other, you can't just go around taking people's brains without their consent, even if they were a Nobel Prize winner.
Yeah, even geniuses deserve a little respect, right? It's like that saying, curiosity killed a cat, and then stole its brain for research.
Exactly. This whole situation sent shockwaves through the scientific community, forcing everyone to reevaluate the ethical guidelines for research involving human tissue. Einstein's brain became a symbol of the importance of informed consent and respecting the rights of individuals, even after death.
So Einstein's brain wasn't just a scientific specimen, it was a wake-up call for the entire research world.
Precisely. It forced researchers to confront some uncomfortable truths about the potential for exploitation and the need for transparency and accountability in their work.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. We've been talking a lot about Einstein, but is this brain preservation thing still going on? Are there secret labs filled with jars of famous people's brains right now?
Thankfully, no. The practice of preserving brains for research has pretty much died out, partly because of the ethical nightmares we've been discussing, and partly because we've got way better tools now. Think fMRI, scans, brain imaging technology that lets us study the living brain in action. No need to crack open skulls anymore.
Makes sense. Why go digging around in a dead person's gray matter when you can watch their neurons light up in real time? That's like the difference between reading an instruction manual and watching a live demo.
Exactly, but there's still some historical collections of preserved brains, mainly in universities and museums. They're like a weird, brainy time capsule, offering glimpses into the evolution of the human brain and helping us understand neurological diseases.
So it's like a creepy library of human history, but instead of books, it's brains in jars. Count me in for a visit.
Just remember, those brains belong to real people, not just scientific specimens. They had lives, stories, families. We should acknowledge their contribution to science while also recognizing the ethical complexities involved in their preservation and study.
Well said. So after all this brain-bending discussion, what's the takeaway for our listeners? The regular folks out there who aren't Einstein-level geniuses.
The biggest takeaway is that the human brain is a powerful and adaptable organ. We all have the potential to learn, grow, and expand our cognitive abilities, even if we don't have a superhighway running between our brain hemispheres.
So you're saying even us mere mortals can unlock some hidden brain power?
Absolutely. The story of Einstein's brain isn't just about the nature of genius. It's about embracing curiosity, questioning assumptions, and exploring the vast universe that exists within our own minds.
Damn, that's some deep shit right there. Yeah. All right, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into the fascinating and sometimes seriously messed up saga of Einstein's brain. We hope you learned a thing or two, or at least got a good laugh out of our irreverent ramblings.
Until next time, keep those brains buzzing, and remember, informed consent is always sexy.